All set. Very good. So know that we are full of energy, ready to dive in a fascinating afternoon. We had a journey from the Sonian forest to Latvia this morning. We are going even further today. We are going from the boots of the forester to the space. So no excuse for your digestive power nap. Hang in there, be attentive, and you will see that we are going to have a very interesting subject. You all know that forestry is at a turning point. More than ever, we could say finally it's recognized as one of the most powerful tools for climate mitigation. It provides the most sustainable raw materials, it clears water, it clears airs, it's a good place to relax, connect with nature, recharge your batteries. And also it's the best habitat for biodiversity and one of the most powerful carbon storage tool as well. So that leads to a growing awareness, environmental awareness with the forest. That has two effects. The first one, more attention and more expectation from the citizens on the way we are managing the forest. The second one, which is a consequence of that, more regulation, more policies, more administrative burden, and so forth. And today this afternoon, we are going to focus on the hot topics of those European regulation. So in the first session, we are going to talk about nature credit and carbon credit. As you all know, Europe has put a lot of resources with pilot projects, with CRCF and so forth on those subjects, which are crucial because it would give an additional source of income to the forest owner that are the carer of the sustainable management. So it's a very important subject as well. And then we are going to quickly speak about the new burden or new legislation that we are facing as forest owner as well, like EUDR. And finally, we are going to talk about how European Union is helping, supporting us in that new world of forestry through those new regulations. And for that, we are very lucky because we have a very diverse panelists, all very close to the European Union. Let's begin to the space and go to the booths. Michal Babacek from OSPA. Michal, you are on-site consultant for the OSPA, and the mission of the OSPA is to managing and promoting EU space services, turning satellite data and signals in solution for citizens, cooperation, and administration. So that's basically the space agency of Europe. I'm going to let you guys introduce yourself in 1 sec. I just do all, so then the floor is yours. Then we have Heidi Kagali from PFC International. Heidi, you're Forestry and Conservation Manager at PFC International. And PFC, you all know, is the largest forest certification system promoting sustainable forest management and ensuring responsibly sourced wood and forest-based products. And then we have Pierre Lemaitre. Pierre, you are Project and Policy Officer at the European Landowners Organization, also very close to the European institution, and you are, with ELO, you are representing landowners at the EU level, advocating for sustainable and land and forest management, while contributing to shaping EU policies on forestry, agriculture, biodiversity, and climate. So lots of subjects, and it's very good. And last but not least, Hélène Koch from CEPF. Hélène, you're Senior Policy Advisor at the CEPF, and the CEPF represents the interest of the European forest owners towards the EU institution, and they are part of the relevant European Commission expert groups working on these files and actively suggesting improvements and reality check to the ongoing discussion. Before letting you the floor to introduce yourself, small logistic aspect, we have 40 minutes of panels. So we are going to see how we try to regulate the timing, but we are going to be flexible and have a good discussion. And then 10 minutes of Q&A from the public. So maybe we can start with a brief introduction. Can each of you present himself, what you're doing, what your organization is doing, and what are the links with carbon credit, nature credit, or EUDR? And I suggest that we begin with you, Michel, and we are keeping round like that, so you always have a time to prepare yourself.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for having me, first of all. I hope you enjoyed your lunch. Yes, so let me give a high-level snapshot of who we are and what we do. You may know that with the new EU space regulation, all space components like Galileo, EGNOS, Copernicus are under one umbrella, and EUSPA, EU agency, is to support the implementation of this regulation. We have a different role depending on the space component. For example, for Galileo, we are responsible for the operation, management, and security, but more or less for all the space components, with some exceptions, we are responsible for the market uptake and accelerating the EU space adoption. And when I talk about market uptake activities, we actually utilize pretty colorful wide toolbox. We indeed start with the market intelligence, we collect user needs. Maybe you are familiar with our reference publications like Genesis and EO market report, technology report, as well as user requirement documents. And we do the collection of the data also for the forestry, and we are also focusing on the topic like CRCF, EUDR, etc. And we are also supporting the new generation of SMEs, startups, development of new services, solutions, fostering downstream industry through initiatives like Horizon Europe, Cassini, that brings very specific programs like hackathons, challenges, prizes for market validation, business matchmaking, etc. And last but not least, we are also running some various procurements, pilot projects, demonstrators, where we try to showcase the use of EU space data and services directly in the operational environment of companies. In fact, we work with stakeholders across entire value chain when it comes to forestry, and indeed, EUDR, CRCF, forestry is one of our key priority area.
Thank you very much. It's very straightforward and right on the time-wise. I forgot to say you've got like 1.5 minutes each to present that, and it was perfect.
Hey, hi everyone. Thank you so much for the invitation. It was great session in the morning, and I hope you still have power for the afternoon session. So also thanks for the introduction. My name is Heidi, and I represent PFC International. My role there is the Forestry and Conservation Manager. That means that we are looking after the benchmark standard for sustainable forest management practices worldwide. So how PFC works, we are a member organization. That means that based on this benchmark standard, the national members that operate in its country, for example, here we have a representative from PFC Belgium. Hi, Samuel. They basically create standards based on this benchmark, and those standards are designed to address the ecological needs of the country, the social aspects, and the legislation. So for a long time, certification has been quite qualitative in a way. So what we're looking now, and given the whole landscape, we just want to see how we can attach more data to the qualitative aspect of certification, and this also comes closer to nature credits, to carbon credits. That doesn't mean that we are necessarily involved in the actual development, but we want to see how we can facilitate integration towards these aspects and support the forest owners actually adapt their management practices towards this. So thanks so much, and looking forward to the discussion.
Thank you, Heidi.
Thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me in this well-gender balanced panel discussion. So my name is Pierre Lemaitre, and I'm working for the European Landowners Organization, which is let's say a lobby organization which try to defend all type of landowners in several topics, which in different EU legislation, which can have an impact on their daily work. And so I studied law, but I'm glad to work on forest because forestry, it's about carbon storage, about biodiversity, about fight climate change, but also recreation activities. But also, I don't think about forest as only properties, but also as emotional bonds and emotional roots and cultural legacy. So we have this context that at the EU level, we have a shift, because before it was primarily national competencies, and now it's more shared competencies with the EU, institution, and because we can think about this new environmental, climate and the environmental legislation that landowners have to face. And also, my daily work helps them to navigate in this complex legal and policy framework. And how I can do that by providing them like legal analysis, defend their interests with the EU institution towards, I don't know, expert group, such as the Nature Credit Expert Group, but also the Carbon Credit Expert Group. But also, we are trying to be involved in the European project, such mine project, Small for Good and Pathfinder. And with Small for Good, we are trying to help small forest owners to develop a sustainable forest management and payment for ecosystem services scheme. And also with Pathfinder, we are trying to understand like what could be the future desired forest governance at a local and regional levels, and to analyze any risk and trade-off about the governance trajectories. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Elaine, floor is yours.
Thank you. So good morning, everybody. My name is Helen Koch. I work for CEPF, which stands for the Confederation of European Forest Owner. The letter don't match, but it's we're old enough to have a French acronyms because it was trendy. So who we are, we represent private forest owners in Europe. So more or less we talk about around 16 million people. So that's quite a diverse numbers of people, of forests, and of interests. So in our everyday work, the point is to make sure that the EU policy landscape still allows them to carry sustainable forest management in the way which is the best fitted to their own place, their own forest, their own national context. As you mentioned, so forest is a touchy subject when it comes to EU competence. We're start to discuss about shared competence, but forestry still remains in the hand of the member state. Nevertheless, through various provision, forestry and forest management are impacted by the EU legislation, and therefore the work that we are carrying. We are a membership-based organization, so our member are national association representing forest owner, and this is how we approach our discussion. And for the rest, we are really an advocacy-focused association. So we work with the EU institution before, during, and after any piece of binding or non-binding legislation, providing feedbacks on what is the ongoing discussion. And for today, we'll be reflecting on the EUDR, on the CRCF, and on nature credit, which are all at very different policy timeline.
Yeah, exactly. Thanks a lot. So we have very exciting about diving in the subject now, about all of that. Michel, let's begin with you. Can you give us concrete example of USPA project related to carbon nature credit? And also maybe in regards of that, how do you see the importance and the position of the agency in those new schemes that are in process?
Yes, so maybe before jumping on the concrete projects, let me further elaborate on user requirements that we collect for every segment, including forestry. What I would like to highlight that it's not like one-shot exercise, it's a continuous activity which is accompanied by a special event that we called UCP, User Consultation Platform, where we gather with EU experts, EU industry, policymakers, researchers, etc., where we discuss what are the user needs, what are the requirements, but also challenges, what are the R&D priorities, etc. And actually, last UCP that we organized in Prague in 2025, there was one session that was called Food Security and Nature Credits, where we touched upon these two subjects like carbon removal and nature credits. There were interesting speakers, also top experts and companies that are dealing with nature-based solutions like AXA Climate, also Rabobank, etc. There were very interesting conclusions and outcomes out of this discussion. There were presentations, panels, and you can find the minutes of meetings from this event at our website. And why I'm saying so, because we don't do this activity because we have to. but these inputs are used for us to define the roadmap, the priorities for the projects, etc. So it's very important element, and I think Helen here, we were lucky that one of the UCPs was also supported by CPF, where we got very interesting insights on what are the challenges for private forest owners. Now moving to concrete project, maybe let me mention one that was related to biogenic carbon reporting. We had an interesting and close cooperation with a global major furniture retailer, so IKEA. With this company, we piloted using Copernicus data and other EO supporting layers to estimate above ground biomass and tracking the key sustainable indicators like soil organic carbon, the insights that are increasingly critical for supply chain insurance and emission tracking. This was done within the LSRG concept framework scope 3 emissions. And there was also the second stream within this project where we tested and showcased Copernicus-based solutions for EUDR within the EUDR context. This project provided critical information about what are the capabilities of Earth observation, limitations, challenges, etc. So it was very useful for companies to define the roadmap how to integrate Earth observation into their operational environment, as well as connecting this company with key EU Earth observation providers. And when since I talk about EUDR, maybe let me also mention that we did another project related to EUDR. In this case, we cooperated with European Coffee Federation that connected us with the major coffee stakeholders like Secafé from Brazil, Illy Café, JDE Peats, and other companies, where we again tested the Copernicus-based solution for deforestation monitoring. Indeed, in this case, the data that was tested was related to coffee. And insights from this project are compiled in the lessons learned document that you can find again at our website. So please don't hesitate to go to our website to download this brochure. And I will take also the opportunity that we have also PFC here. I would like to underline that we also triggered the cooperation with PFC. In 2024, we organized together the workshop for PFC members, where I think it was 11 key European Earth observation companies showcased Copernicus-based solutions over the set of forestry plots directly delivered by PFC members, looking at the applications like sustainable forest management, deforestation monitoring, carbon accounting, biodiversity and habitat mapping. So all these applications were analyzed. This workshop was also accompanied by interactive session where the PFC members had a chance to interact with these companies to get further insights on this. So it was in a nutshell about some projects. So yeah.
Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah, you look like a big source of data. So it's very interesting, and to see also that the influence of the EU legislation outside of Europe as well. So for all the tech developer, I think that's very exciting to see the number of things to do. And that makes the links with the forester boots that I was mentioning before. Elaine, how does CPF view the role of carbon and nature credit? Sorry, it's a bit a tricky one, but I guess you are used to it, and I'm not totally finished. And do you see already tangible impact? And the third question, you have members from every country. How do you see the diversity of integration of carbon scheme, nature credit? For those that don't know, nature credit is all the biodiversity credit, and so forth. I tried to do that in 3 minutes, 0.75. They were very strict with me.
So to summarize, how do we see those? We are cautiously optimistic. Do we really see impact on the ground? Not really. And does it differ within member state? Yes, very much. So even if we think about the carbon removal certification, so for this we have a regulation which is from 2023, and we are as we are speaking, we are finally having one of the first methodologies about how to do it. So meaning that if we are still discussing the adequate methodology, you may imagine that before a forest owner will actually be able to claim a carbon removal credit, there is a long way to go. But this is the very advanced one, because for nature credits, we have a roadmap, which is a non-binding instrument from the Commission telling us that they are interested in the topic and are willing to have a discussion at EU level. So for the nature credits, we are very, very much at the start. Again, we are cautiously optimistic. For both of them, what really is at a heart, a crucial importance for us is that this goes hand in hand with continued sustainable forest management. We want to be able to continue provide for our value chain wood. And we think that these are activities which are compatible, and that in those discussions, this is very important that we can have both in hand. If I refer to the very recent delegated act on carbon removal certification, we have seen much improvement compared to previous drafts. So yeah, cautiously optimistic, but there is still a big question, because if you think about risk assessment, forest age isn't included so far. There is quite not much criteria when it comes to what makes a species suitable. So there is still work to do, but maybe it's interesting, and we are actively working to make it as workable as we can.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot. It's very, very interesting. And focusing on the sustainable management, you ease my transition to Heidi. Heidi, in this context, why do you think that standards such as PFC are so important? And how do you help to prove that forestry activities are truly sustainable? Maybe you can also add what could be the role of technologies in that. And let me see if I had... yeah, maybe also, how do you see the role of PFC in the compliance with legislation like EUDR and so forth? I dropped a lot of subjects here, so you choose.
I'll start from the start. Okay, so, well, first of all, standards of any kind and certification are very important because they create an environment of trust. So, for example, if I get some tomatoes from my grandma's garden, I know where they come from, I know what management practices they were implemented, so I know what was the impact in the environment, and so on and so forth. Now, in a global economy, the consumer or the buyers are not able to know any of that. So for that reason, certification exists. So that means that the product that carries a label, it brings this trust that it has been sustainably managed. In the case of PFC certification, of course, there are so many certifications for other things around us, right? So it is very important to understand that in order for this to happen, of course, there are the requirements that are around social, economic, and environmental aspects, which they can differ from country to country, but they always follow the minimum requirements of the benchmark. But what really makes this happen is the governance structure that is provided with certification. And this is having the management system in place. For example, if you have the health and safety requirements, right? You have to have risk assessment. You have to have a system in place to monitor that your PPE doesn't expire. For biodiversity conservation, you have to have monitoring protocols. You have to know that if you find a new species, there is a method to update your records. So all of that is streamlined and facilitated by certification. And I think this is something that regulation is not able, due to resources, but also due to its nature, not to cover. And to go closer to how it makes a difference, the glue that kind of sticks everything together is third-party verification. So the fact that there's an auditor going to the companies every year, monitoring, checking that everything is going according to the schedule. Of course, things happen. but then companies need to implement corrective actions, and this kind of eternal loop of continuous improvement is the most important aspect. And this is what we advocate for also at EU level. We have a great team in Brussels, Isaac and Maya, so they follow very closely the policies, the regulations, we submit feedback, and we just want to ensure that it is clear what the role of certification is, what the role of regulation is, and how they can work together rather than compete with each other or overlap or in parallel, because when they do, that only brings complexity to the users and those that are actually the managers of the forest and they're achieving the impact. So.
And quick complementary question.
Yes.
So you have the certification legislator, and we see exactly that. Where would you put technology into that? And how do you see the role of BFC in maybe leveraging, promoting the right technology so the legislator will win time after that?
I think this is, well, I have a presentation later about this, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. But the important part is that we leverage the technology that exists, and but by doing that, we must ensure that, for example, the audit time that is spent on site is optimized. So we can never kind of reduce the human factor. We always will have this qualitative aspect, but if there is available technology out there that can streamline the processing, it can make the integrity of the system higher and makes people's lives easier, then we need to see how this fits together. But I think being too prescriptive with technology from either sides, either regulation or certification, maybe it's not the way. We're exploring. So we want to hear also from the audience maybe after the presentation later.
Thank you
Thanks.
very much. Pierre, to have maybe a view of the members you represent, what do you think are the main challenges when you are trying to comply to EUDR, such legislation, and protecting the forestry health from what your members are experiencing?
That's a good question. I'm thinking about two binding legislation. So first of all, yeah, EUDR. So in December, we have quite a relief because there was a targeted revision of this text. And now they introduce this category of small and micro operator. And it's really important for us because we have to know that in Europe, the ownership is really fragmented, but also we have a majority of very small forest owners. So it was a really nice revision of the text. And you have to know that sometimes forest owners don't have the capacity to comply with this administrative burden, to have a geolocalization of their land, because sometimes their property are in remotely areas, so it's very difficult for them to map, to have a mapping tool of their land, and sometimes they don't have the time to comply with this administrative burden. So well, yeah, it's quite a relief, but this does not solve the root cause, because there is still lack of concrete financial and technical support from the European Commission, and we would like to have more guidance on this very complex regulation. And also, we would like also more information about the definition of forest degradation, because that's something really tricky, because this definition can penalize forest management technique which involve active regeneration of degraded natural forests into a productive forest and sustainably managed. And second of all, it's about nature restoration law. So this text has been enforced since 2024, but this year in September, member state has to give their national restoration plan, and there is a specific provision regarding forests at the Article 12 with mandatory requirements, and this can potentially have a shift toward operational change, such as an increase of deadwood and tree diversities, also management shift and to push away from even edge forestry and short-term rotation in restriction in certain area, especially in protected area, and financial implication in terms of reduction of team production. So, and also increase of documentation when I think about compliance monitoring and reporting. But this text gave a lot of flexibility to the member states to adapt locally forest measure, and we can think about also nature credit and carbon credit to complement the public funds to restore our land. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Are you guys hanging in there? Because there's a lot of warm air and things, and it's also complex legislation. I think we're going to do the question online. We have just one more small part of the segment, and then let's take all the question. I just wanted to wake you up a bit because I see that you were lost in between the boots and the space. So, second part of the discussion, I will be lazy and I will ask you all the same question. There are lots of tools to help the forester, financial, non-financial, provided by the European Union. In your view, what are the most effective tools? That's the first question. Michel, I would be very happy to see if you have tools also in USPA. That's one question. And coming back with the magic wand, which kind of tool would you create if you could to improve and have the best impact on sustainable forest management?
Yes, so I think that one of the support measures is to deliver right EO data, right EO solutions. Today you have heard a lot about various EO solutions and applications where Copernicus and the other EO data can support with. We have a different maturity and also adoption depending on the application. So I think that we need to further accelerate the adoption, to fine-tune the solution, to go beyond the boundaries, and to bring something innovative to address all these challenges we face, and also the new regulations. In this line, I think that it's important that we support both supply and demand sides. So on supply side, indeed, to incentivize EO companies, but at the same time, we need to cooperate with demand side, meaning with the end users, to ensure that these solutions is easy to integrate, that it's technologically robust, that it's supported by clear cost-benefit analysis. But equally important, even with higher impact, is the capacity building, active user engagement, hands-on workshops, providing technical guidelines, best practices, etc. So all these aspects, I think, are very important, and we are working on it. And I would like to take the opportunity also to talk about the opportunities that we offer right now in EUSPA, because there are many that you can grasp in near future. So if you are the startup SME company that is dealing with EO and you have good partners, good ideas, we have Horizon Europe Call Open that brings a collective investment of 15 million euros. There is a topic that is related to climate adaptation and environmental footprint reduction. So the forestry topics certainly fits under this call. Then we very recently launched Cassini Challenges 2026, where we seek innovative space-based solutions that can help solve one of today's most pressing issues. The winners will take home 100,000 euros. There will be actually 12 winners, if I remember well. And there are many, many other opportunities, business matchmaking. We have also EU Space Academy, very interesting initiative where you can get one-to-one mentoring. It's a platform where you can explore various guidances on technology, on business strategy, etc.
Yeah, it's congrats. It's a lot of support, and it's great to see that there is energy put in that. Just out of curiosity, among all the tech provider here, could you raise your hand if you were working with help from EUSPA or other space agencies? Yeah, so there is this good beginning, but as you can see, there is many opportunities. So it's good to keep going there. But congrats, Michel. It's a great job. For the others, I will ask you to try to be really quick answering the questions, so we have time for Q&A afterwards. Hélène, do you want to begin?
Sure. So you mentioned a magic wand. So if I have a magic wand, I want a crystal ball that will be supporting me to answer the question I'm always asked: what do we plant? Because that's the big question for every day, for every forest owner. What do I plant in my forest, in my own context, that will still have a chance to be alive in decades from now? That's a very hopeful magic wand question. I'm not that delusional yet to hope that this exists, but this is really something where, in terms of tool, we need stuff which are tailored to the ground. Having for forest owner tools which are designed for the whole of Europe means that you're not going to be really tailored to a local solution. So that's really something where we are welcoming to see project and actual tool that really fit to area and specific condition to that. So that's my short answer.
It's good that you're based in Belgium, because we have a tool that needs to be increased, but that answering partly to that as well, but we can discuss that later. Heidi, do you want to follow with your answer?
Sure. So for my magic wand, I guess it's also a little bit more about the team operating here for EU, because apart from EU concerns, we also have kind of more global concerns that I will also talk about later. I think what we need for certification schemes is important that there is a clear regulatory framework, and it's, not predictable, but in a way there is long-term planning, and you know what to expect, what are the deadlines, what are the exact scopes of every new initiative, which of course is great that there are new initiatives, but it is so much better if all actors involved are well prepared to kind of adapt and adopt all the initiatives, and maybe for the regulation to create a safe environment for forest managers to take these risks that they're asked to take. So, for example, if you shift your business operations to a different model, there is a business risk to that. So there has to be some safety net to enable these tests. And of course, certification is here to help, but I think this is something that the regulation and the framework, the European framework, needs to look after as well.
Thank you.
Lastly, I think a unique tool to see if EU legislation can be implemented into the ground, it's European project. And I think it's the only tool that you can bring all the stakeholders involved in the forestry sector, and to have a long-term view of what is going on, and if it will be feasible to reach the EU climate targets. So
Can you develop what do you mean by the European project? On-site project, field project?
Such as the SWIFTT project, for instance. I mean, we really need to have field inspection, remote scientific data, and also to organize, workshop to discuss with the stakeholder on our future governance. It's really important to have this political debate with everyone.
Thank you very much. I will try to wrap it up before we have the question coming. So first of all, I think that, as you said, Hélène, we are cautiously optimistic. I will focus on the optimistic word, and it's very good. And we are all in this room. It's our duty to work on that, to bring those markets further away. I think that indeed it's a tricky market. Actually, the markets are not existing. It takes a lot of time. As you said, Michel, you need to work continuously, and you need a lot of communication between all the parties. We need to focus on resources for the demand and for the supply as well. And I also think that maybe to make the stronger link with the rest of the thematics today, the technologies are really important here, because at the end of the day, sometimes big institutions can, we say in French, come to save the success. So once you show that it exists, and then it can be monitored, that you have a good effect and things like that, then you will have more resources from the public sectors and the administration. So maybe to wrap it up, I would say that if you are forest owners, forest managers, or tech providers, keep going, because every single moment, energy, or resources that you are investing is going to be rewarded, because one thing is sure, that we need to have those kind of improvement. Do we have a question from the web?
Yes. Thank you for your presentation. It was great. So first of all, we have actually a comment from someone in Ireland who's saying they have issues with certification because it's too complex and costly for an average forest owner, even in a small group certification system. And I guess, yeah, it's for Heidi, I guess. And then a question always on certification, so I stay with you. How do you deal with consumers losing trust in certifications upon learning their details, which in many environmental related ones are underwhelming? I.e. the certification might be too easy to get and the benefit to the environment is very limited.
So ideas that's too costly and not looks like can be a problem of trust for some customer. That's a hot potatoes in your hands now.
Thank you for the hot potato. No, I mean, those are, eligible concerns. All this, no system is perfect, first of all. I think I will start from the consumer trust. I guess what we do to address these concerns, and we are in, constant monitoring process where we monitor, for example, when there are certain allegations, or we engage with the stakeholders that they have made the allegations. We trust the process as well, because there is a process in place from certification that the certification body needs to take action. So there is a certain kind of sequence of actions that need to happen before we also take action. And all we can do is ensure that our standards remain relevant and they address the concerns. So we are now in the process of reviewing our standards and looking how we can strengthen them, and looking how we can strengthen the monitoring processes and the integrity. And this can actually, technology can help a lot to that. So we are looking forward to see what comes out of this process and how we can address at the maximum these concerns. But again, legislation is not perfect, certification is not perfect. All the systems always need improvement, and they are mitigating the risk. They're not eliminating the risk. That's natural. And for the cost effectiveness, for the cost of certification, I guess this is a chronic concern. Again, technology is something that we can utilize to reduce the cost. As I mentioned before, the human element cannot be removed, because it's the essence of how certification is working, interviewing the workers and going to the field and looking, at the stands. But if we integrate technology, perhaps there is a good opportunity to reduce also the cost and make it more accessible for maybe smallholders and groups. But yeah, we're hoping. We're optimistic.
With the Irish magic wand, it would be a little help of the EU to have a better monitoring. And do we have other? Maybe we have a question in the assembly here. Nobody. We are too clear and too complete. So let's go back to the web. Nothing for now. Okay, no. Then I've got plenty of thematics if you want. So, we have 5 minutes left. So, hello, it's done. Okay, sorry. Then I talk to you privately after to ask those questions. Thank you very much for that panel and the honesty of the answer and everything. And I think that the panelists deserve a big applause.